but I'm not knowing like how the subsection, but I believe like in methodology I saw like describing about the research design.
Yeah, research design. Yeah.
And then samples, and then also uh, how we are going to conduct a research, like the methods, the process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyone else
And
want to add in the methodology what the items?
Professor,
Yes,
timeline missing. We need to add the timeline.
you need to add the timeline. Yes, timeline is one of the thing that you can have in the methodology. Yes. What else?
The type of the study, like quantitative or qualitative.
Study design. Yeah, study design. You need to
Sample
mention
size.
sample
The
size.
sample
Yes,
size.
sample
Sampling
size,
frame,
sampling frame,
sample
sampling,
calculation.
Sample population.
sample population or the study population. Yes, and study site. Where are you going to do this study? Chittagong or Kabul or which place? Little description of this population, giving the overall the population size and then geography, what is special about this population or the geography, sample site, study site, right?
Adding the questionnaire if you have
Data
questionnaire perhaps,
collection, yeah, data collection, and
data
then
collection method.
yeah, data collection method, and then under the data collection you need to see that what kind of tools that you are going to use, questionnaire, face-to-face interview, or online interview, or in the questionnaire what kind of question that you will have, not the list of all question but the type. Like will have sections on socio-demography, I will have section on knowledge, I will have section on practice, I will have section on lab investigation, I will have a section on clinical data collection
And
to blood test.
Professor,
Yes.
if taking help from any research assistant, then that information also budget.
In the data collection, you can mention that who is going to collect data, interview, if it is interview, who is going to do it? Is it by yourself or you will have a research assistant? And then if you involve research assistant, are you going to give them training? And sometime gender is also important of the research assistant because some of the sensitive question, if it is gender matched, that it works better in order to avoid information bias and all this. So if you are working on one of the sensitive area, mention this, what kind of, is it, so whole lot of things to write. Tandin, yeah, go ahead.
Sir, the methodology that we are writing in the research paper and in the research proposal, is it like two different kinds?
Methodology that you are going to write in the research proposal
and research paper.
What is research paper? This paper terms to me so confusing, and then everybody talks about the paper.
Now, sir.
Paper. This I don't mean to understand the meaning of paper. I don't use this word a lot, but AOW student faculty talk about paper, assignment paper, research paper, thesis paper. What else kind of paper? I don't know.
I'm also confused.
For me personally, I don't use the word paper. I use when it is the article that I submit, I say it as my article, my manuscript. When I write a proposal, I say it project proposal. When I send this assignment, I say my assignment. When I say a quiz, I say quiz. But I don't use the word paper. But I always say, people say paper, 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 paper. When I present my abstract in a conference, I present my abstract. Some people say I present paper. So paper is such a misleading word, but keep using this based on context. But yeah, it's confusing to me.
No, I think I got the answer. No, I
got the answer.
Yes,
okay.
Yes. I got the answer. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. So I'm trying to find, yeah, for me personally, I don't use the word paper a lot, but I saw that you guys and then many student Paper, everything is paper. Yeah, I'm trying to find
Professor,
the
paper can be used for midterm paper. Or
midterm
final
paper,
Maybe-
final paper, assignment
Maybe
paper,
written in the paper, right? That is why
quiz paper,
we,
everything is
it's
paper.
all in the paper.
Yeah,
So-
all in the paper. Yeah, research paper. But what is it? When I write an article to submit in a journal, I say article. When I, yeah, I think you got this right. So, you know, before going to today's, I think it is good to show the methodology a bit, because it seems that can you see the screen that I have shared?
Yes, Professor.
Yeah. Okay. So I think this part is done, because you have already done your hypothesis that you have written, and then you know that goals are not objectives. There are difference between goals and objective. In a proposal, there is only one goal, and then the goal that you cannot achieve after just completing a research. Goal is the far-reaching thing that you can only contribute to achieve through a research. Like here it says that contribute to reduction in maternal mortality in Bangladesh. If you research something to do in antenatal care or delivery care or postpartum depression, anything you can do, but through this you can contribute in maternal mortality. That's the goal is far reaching, but objective is specific. You have to have a specific objective, and objective is you have primary objective and secondary objective. You already have done this, so I'm going to the methods section soon. So for writing the objective, it has to be SMART. That's what we have mentioned. SMART is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Every specific objective should have sense of the SMART touch. SMART touch. It has to be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So as much as possible, right? So for example, here the last one has more or less like this. So it says infection rate among children of village Jet reduced by 45% by 2004. I will make it 2021. So this one is a SMART objective. You see that it has like the specific, time bound, measurable, everything is there. 25% specific, village name. Sometimes writing so that smart is not possible, but try to be as smart as possible when you write each of these objectives. So to start with the objective, you see these are some of the verbs that we gave example, but there are many other verbs you can use, but don't use like to find, to find. To find is something that I saw many students they write to find, but find is a verb, but it's not there because everything is to find. But you have more specific finding. You can explore, finding through exploration, finding to describing, explain, compare, assess, evaluate, measure, predict, test, to identify, to determine. Determine is not there, so I can write here another one, determine. To recommend. So you see, these are the verb words to recommend, because you want to recommend also based on the research finding. Yeah. Try to use one of these verb to write your specific word to start with. First word in an objective should be one of this, right? So, and then avoid using the word find, to find, to see and to find, to see and to find. They don't use this this verb. Yeah, the conceptual. Oh, okay. There are hierarchy. This is to review, but this helps. You know, by doing all the activity in your research. So activity is like you go to the field and do data collection, bring people and then collect their hypertension status, blood pressure, or do some activity. So all this activity will be helpful to achieve the objectives. Data collection of different kind, and then also of different kind can help achieve the objective. And then when you have objectives are met, all this objective can achieve, can contribute in achieving the goals, right? So this is the hierarchy. Start at the bottom, and then you go up, and then you contribute to the broader mission by conducting your research. So conceptual framework, we talked about conceptual framework a lot. Conceptual, you see I am going through the presentation that we shared. Conceptual framework or theoretical framework. And then we have, these are the conceptual framework. Here you have two examples. One is like you have information on attitude, self-efficacy, social influence. Through this, you measure the intention, and then by measuring the intention, you can predict about the behavior of particular type. So this one of the model that we have. I don't know. I know that you are taking social and behavioral epidemiology, social and behavioral sciences. You are taking, right? Do you see this conceptual model, or what does they call? Like in qualitative research, there are various type of model. So do you see the attitude, self-efficacy that predicts the behavior? Do you remember one of this that you have discussed in maybe in social and behavioral class? We are also going to discuss in one lecture all the models.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you remember? You have discussed this
Yes.
already, right? Attitude,
Yes.
self-efficacy. So what does
theory
this
of
call?
planned behavior.
Oh, okay.
It's
Theory of planned behavior. Yes, yes. Yeah. A theory of planned behavior. Right. So this could be a conceptual framework. And then there is another one in underneath this one. Like you have socio-demography, age education, that's relating
that's
to
health behavioral theory.
health behavioral theory. Yes. Is it the health behavior theory? Okay, so I forgot maybe.
No. This external factors looks like for the health behavior theory, but then when we get into attitude, social influence, and then self-efficacy, it goes for theory of planned behavior.
Theory of planned, whatever it is. Like you see, the conceptual framework can be guided by one of the theories. One of the theory can guide your conceptual framework. You know, things are related. Like in the domain of generating knowledge through qualitative way or quantitative way. So things are related. These concepts, the theories, ultimately that you need to apply in your own project, in your own work, and then interpret the findings accordingly, right? Then coming back again to this theory and say, look, I have collected information on attitude, I have collected information on self-efficacy, social influence. That's how it is predicting intention, and then this intention is leading someone's behavior. So this is one of the theoretical way that we are talking, right? But this one is a very complicated conceptual framework. Child health intervention. So idea is to reduce the child mortality, but this one is complicated, like intervention project. They give folic acid, zinc supplementation, vitamin A. So we don't expect that you develop one of these complicated one. And then they have outcome like stunting and wasting, all this. So this is complicated, right? So this is how, these are some of the, we talked about the conceptual framework, and then I don't know. And then we also mentioned the writing, criteria of writing good conceptual framework. Sensitivity, parsimoniousness, novelty, relevance, all like the, the perception wise, you have to have this in order to write a conceptual framework. So you have to write one of these conceptual framework. Socio-demography, if you give a search, you will find the simpler conceptual framework that you can modify and apply in your project. Right? So if you have not done conceptual framework, develop one for your project. I know that you have uploaded your the write-up in a folder, right? That's what you have done, uploaded.
Yeah, in the Google Drive that we
Google
got
Drive,
the
right?
link.
So you
Yeah.
can still work there and then modify you by adding a conceptual framework there. So no problem. I'll accept that you updated a conceptual framework in your project proposal. Shukriya, you have a question?
Yes, Professor. Professor, can we write the conceptual framework as a paragraph instead of doing this graph one?
You know, it's better to show them in a graphical format, but you can explain these graphs in a small write-up of a paragraph. So paragraph is fine, but above the paragraph, try to draw one of these, like prepare some boxes. Yeah.
So first we need to just draw the graph, then explain it in a paragraph.
You know, the explanation of this paragraph is not mandatory. So you can write a paragraph in a way, draw this in a way that people can understand by looking at this. So explanation is not mandatory, but having one of these graphical is core for conceptual framework. But just write up will not be enough. If you do this graphical presentation and write up, which is fine. If you just do the graphic, which is fine, but only write up would not be good, would not be enough.
Okay, Professor, thank you.
So if you have submitted already logical framework or whatever, try to draw one of these and then add in your submission. Work there in the Google Drive. Okay. Okay, so what I wanted to show, I wanted to show this one. You know, for writing the methodology, you don't have to wait for anything. And then when I asked that what are the things that you need to write in your methodology, so I got very, good response at the end. But someone started with the socio-demographic variable. So these are like a minor part comes not even here in the next page, but you start your method section by writing, you will write the methodology, and then you can give subsection, study design. You can write study design and then write that what are the you study design. It a descriptive study, observational study, cross-sectional, and experimental design, which one? So you can write under this, right? And then you write your study population. So try to follow these bullets, these ones in your methodology section. Write about your population, which population that you are working. Under 5 children, and then men and women 18 years and above, pregnant women. So it sounds like in one or two one word can tell your population, but I saw people write whole paragraph describing the population that they're working. But like for example, men and women 18 years and older, that sounds like it is done. But you can expand to this. You can write a little justification why this population, and then how this population is actually you have okay, the justification of selecting this population, okay, and then also distribution of this population, like in your the study site, how big this population look like, and then those kind of the estimates that you bring from literature, some from the documents. So yeah, describe your population. The next one is describe your study site, geography, the Kabul, Afghanistan, and then you can talk about the geography of Kabul. How big is Kabul? How big population wise Kabul is? And then if you want to bring, sometimes people also, even by describing the study site, they bring the map of the area, right? So right now we are writing a project proposal to submit UKPHS. So, and then we are proposing 3 different sites where the project will be implemented. 2 in the north of Bangladesh, 1 in the coastal Upazila. So we bring the whole Bangladesh map here and then see highlighted the Upazila that we are going to work, highlighted green, to show that where this work will be done. So it's not only we are mentioning 3 Upazila in Bangladesh, but we are telling their total, the distinct features of this place. Why we have selected them, the study site. Then you say sampling method, right? So is it purposive sampling or random sampling, or what kind of sampling that you are going to do? And then who is the sample unit? Is like the individual or cluster, if it is cluster, this kind of stuff. Sample size, you need to calculate the sample size in your for your proposal. Do you remember we have done exercise on calculating sample size, the simplest one for the cross-sectional study. You have done a sample size calculation, right?
Yes,
Yes,
Professor.
Professor.
Yeah. So you have to do your sample size calculation for your methodology. Sample size calculation you have to do for your methodology section. Yeah, and then the project that you are writing could be the project that you are doing your senior thesis, or even if you are not doing your senior thesis, this project, then based on your interest and everything that you are developing, you want to do this research at some point. When you get some funding and everything, sometimes you can do this research for real life. So that's why this time and effort that you are making would be useful. So sample size calculation you have to do. So what else? Oh, you see what are the different things that you can write in your methodology section. You need to write the data collection method. Qualitative, quantitative, questionnaire based, face-to-face interview, focus group discussion, which one you are doing. So you write. And then description of instrument, questionnaire, language to be used, whether you are going to do pre-testing and pilot testing. Pre-testing and pilot testing means what? Like before going to actual interview, it is sometimes good to do a pilot testing, meaning that you see that whether these questions are understandable to the study population. Right, whether they understand what you are asking. Because when you finalize and do the 300 questionnaire printed, then it is difficult to change. So before doing that, you want to see that whether these questions are using the flow is better, wording is better, and all this. So that's called the pilot testing. You do with 5 or 10 people, right? So, and then also you can write the data collect, who is going to collect data, their gender, are you going to give a training, language skills, local language versus English, which one are you going to do during all these things you can detail up. Quality control, data management, data analysis, dissemination plan, and then also budget. Timeline should come before. Mudabbara mentioned about the timeline, right? Timeline, like for 6 months. And then if it is just don't write 3 months or 6 months, you can write, for writing the timeline. We have mentioned about it could be a details timeline. It's not like the 6 month or 1 year. You can write the first 1 month project development and then ethical review committee approval process. Second 1 month is finalizing the questionnaire and then pilot testing. Third month and fourth month for data collection to the field. 5 and 6 months for data management and analysis and write your final report. Something like this, breakdown of the timing. It's not like the 6 month or 1 year, right? So last one is the budget. So how much budget do you need? Not only the budget that I need 25,000 rupee, but you can write 5,000 for transportation, 2,000 for printing, 5,000 for transport. I mean, you know the breakdown. If you want to give incentive to the study participants, how much it cost, right? So do you think you have elements to write in your methodology, enough elements?
Yes, Professor. Yes. About the budgeting is at the end, right?
Budget is at the end, that's true.
What is the maximum budget that we will get?
Maximum budget? It depends on type of project, right? As I said, the project proposal that we are going to submit, Dr. LC, myself, and we have partners from University of Sussex, London School of, so we are having a budget of 350,000 British pound, 350,000 British pound that we are putting together a budget. So budget is like depends on how much is available and then how much do you need. Availability is a big question. You see that that's why we mentioned about the sample size calculation. The type of design that you want to do depends on feasibility and then affordability, all these factors, right? For a student project, you know, for the senior thesis, so in the last few years, AOW supported senior thesis, but this year was exception, so they don't want to give money. They said because of different reason, I don't know. It's not acceptable, but they said that they cannot give money. But normally we give 100, 100 and $150 only. So
that means we won't get this year. I mean, like we have to pay for the printing. It's very expensive.
I know.
Per paper is like 5. Per paper we have to pay 5. One computer paper with printing, it has become very expensive. In Bangladesh, it's like if we can afford, honestly, we can like pay if it is in Bangladesh. But I'm sorry, but I don't know.
Yeah.
So, Professor, according to the budget breakdown,
sample size.
You
know, for the project, Professor.
Yeah.
In my case, in order to like for the increasing the generalizability of the paper, I thought of interviewing more people, like at least like 500 if possible. So for that, if I have to like pay for the printing, means like per paper it's only 5. I mean, not only 5, it's 5.
Yeah, that's true. I understand, Thandin. So without fund, without budget, no research, nothing is done. I mean, nothing could be done. How could we do something without money, without support, right? So this is the thing. But the things are very contradicting when it comes to practice, right? So you want research productivity, and then you want people to be more applied when it comes to knowledge. It's not only the theoretical that you discuss, you want them practical experience and everything. But then you need to support, you need to find a way to support this, right? So yeah, so for your batch, I don't know, we have a project, actually another project with Utrecht, University of Utrecht. You know that some of the current student and previous student, they got 1 elements of scholarship from that school. They are taking a course, but we are thinking about having some budget under the project to support your batch conducting what we call experiential learning. So that can fit under this. I mean, a thesis is an experiential learning. So let's see, we are working so that we don't have to rely on a university to give fund, but from public health, we can support from project. So yeah, I know that without budget, how can you conduct a research? That's impossible. So for writing your research methodology section, so these are, so go back, this one is like lecture 1 and 2. And then if you go there, page 30, slide 36 and 37, see the 36 and 37, it tells you what you should write in the methodology section. So those of you who are confused and they never check back this slide, so you go back and check, and then you will find plenty of things to write under methodology. Okay.
Okay, Professor.
Yes, I think this is helpful, right? Because you are writing your methodology, you are struggling. What do I write under methods? So go back and then try to write in each of these subtitles a little bit. Then you will see that your method is a full method, right? If you write respond to each of these subsections. Okay, I think we will stop sharing this one, and let us discuss that what we want to discuss today. So yeah, Isha, you can you have a question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Professor. Could you please upload today's recording as soon as possible, because we have to write down that story.
Sure, and then yeah, I will do that. But what you will also do, check the lecture slide 1 and 2 that you have, and then check the slide 36 and 37, Isha. These are also helpful. Go back to your public health research method class, and then lecture 1 and 2 is together, and then page slide 36 and 37 is there, and then you can check back. But of course, I'm going to share this lecture as well. Okay. Yeah.
And Professor, I have another question. Like, we are submitting our parts like intro, and then literature review and methodology now. So are these segments are graded, or you will be grading in everything all together at the end of the semester when we will be submitting all together?
Yeah, I think the grading will be all together. You are submitting piece by piece, but you know, when you bring all the pieces together in one document, it will be your research proposal, and then you can submit them finally, and then that final submission will be graded. Okay. Okay. So we are going to discuss this concept today: community engagement in public health research. The community engagement, you know, the when public health is more population-oriented research. Just we always go back to the population and then deal with some of the health issue that they have in the community level, at the population level. Be it like just a survey from a number of individuals, be whether it is a community-based intervention, hand washing, promoting exercise, or encouraging women to go to antenatal care. These are all community-oriented activity that public health is all about, right? So engaging to the community remains very important for public health. So I mean, involving them, and then also gaining their trust and credibility for implementing a research, so that they can cooperate, they can give information that you want, and then they not only give information, but give information that is true and factual, not biased. So that is why engaging community is very, very important, right? And then, yeah, so there are various issues that comes under community engagement, why this is important, how does it work, and everything. So we can cover some of these issues today. So before going there, so there is a little, because I already talked a lot, right? So it needs a break. So there is a YouTube video on community engagement. So I think let's look at it. Importance of community engagement and different reflection on community engagement, right? So I'm going to share this YouTube with you. So I don't know how does it work. So I think I need to stop this one and do you see a link that I shared?
Yes, Professor, it's in the chat box.
Yeah, it's in the chat box, right? So how do I do? Okay, so let's do you see a screen with in YouTube screen?
Yes, Professor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Do you hear this? Do you hear sound?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's good. Okay. So they're like the public health professional, not from Asian context, but these are done in I don't know in Canada. I think different researcher professor. They do research engaging communities. So they talked about community engagement.
Professor, can you click for subtitles also?
Subtitles. Okay, how to do that? Okay, let me see subtitles. Now you can see subtitles.
Yeah, Professor.
Okay.
Professor, there is no sound.
Can you all hear, or is it
No
just me who
sound.
can't hear? Yeah, Professor, it's not
I can
audible.
hear.
It's not audible.
No.
Oh,
I guess you need to share the sound as well.
I need to
When you
share
share.
the sound. How does it work?
So when you share the screen,
Yeah.
Professor, can you stop sharing? Stop. We need to share it again.
Stop
Yes, we
share.
need to. Yeah.
Stop share.
Stop sharing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when you share the screen, there is an option down in the bottom.
In
Share
the-
sound as well.
Share screen.
Can you see an option at the bottom of the page? Share sound.
Can we watch?
Okay, so option, right?
Or Professor, is it the same link that you need to show? I'll just share my screen and
Okay,
if you,
yeah, do
if
it,
you
do
want.
it. That would be good.
Yeah.
Do it,
Yeah. Okay.
please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to enable me to, Professor.
So share. Okay.
Yeah.
Security. Where is? I know how to do it. Share screen. Okay. Now you will be able to.
We have to know that in this kind of community, if the community is choosing its formal leader, it's going to be a business person who knows this. But this person over here is really the glue of the community that may not be as public. And we have to know how to work with both of those.
What we haven't dealt with enough in our funding structures and everything is, what do you do when the funding ends? Because these are now relationships, and they are not just simply you know, someone you went in and did whatever, was on a project and you saw them a few times and you're gone. But you develop these relationships with people, and there's expectations and there's high expectations. So if you're coming to the end and you want to do a knowledge translation with your project and then you don't get funded, but you all worked on putting that grant together, it's incredibly disappointing. And so how do you continue to have those relationships with the people in the community so that you're not letting them down? And I think this needs to really be thought about, because we're moving more and more from academia into the community, talking about community-based research, service learning, all this stuff.
I think one of the challenges of community engagement, or in involving people from the community in decision-making or research, one of the challenges is dealing with the power dynamics that arise, especially when you're involving people in the community who often have less clout than others who are directly involved in decision-making, such as researchers or policymakers. I think there needs to be more thought about how to pay attention to those power dynamics to try to foster a more equitable discussion.
The Poverty Reduction Strategy in New Brunswick is a new Crown corporation that was started in 2009. With a number of roundtable discussions that happened throughout the province, where we talked to about 2,500 New Brunswickers about what poverty means to them. And we talked to business people, we talked to government, we talked to people who are or were living in poverty, and also government sectors.
We have one project right now that has been exceptional. And not only have they engaged with the community, but they have really engaged with the young people through the school and invited them to come along and be part of it, so that we're hoping that they'll get interested in research and maybe want to be involved down the road. And always the giving back, always making sure that there's acknowledgement. And it doesn't have to be anything much. It can be a mug, it can be a meal, it can be a food token to the Northmark, but making people feel valued for their time and their contribution.
I like that term, taking away, decentering, or taking me away from the middle of the research. And again, I think sometimes our mechanisms are set up such that you're the PI, you're in charge of the funding, or maybe some goes into the community. But I see our role, or my role, and my partners in it, is not necessarily leading. And I think that's a discussion we need to have around what does it mean to be a PI, or what does it mean to lead a research project? It doesn't mean that you have all the answers and you're going to tell everyone what they're going to do. It means, I think, again, more as a facilitator, in that people are coming together and that you are part of that. You're not at the center of it, but you're all part of that, and you move together forward. You move forward together. And I think when you are able to let go of that control and let things happen organically, in particular when we're working with communities, that we need to be addressing and responding to the needs that the community raise. So yourself at the center of that's not gonna happen. A good leader surrounds himself with people and resources to act on whatever the issue may be. It's not about, again, telling people what to do. It's about working together.
I think from an Inuit perspective, the most important thing is that we believe that nothing should be done about us without us. Historically, we've been the subject of lots of research. Many people came and took what they wanted and left and didn't give anything back. And the research that works well, and there's lots and lots of examples in my region of research that is working really well, is where they take the time to build the trust relationships with the community so that they're almost like a member of the community. And when they do that, the doors are wide open, and they go beyond that. They take them out on the land, they invite them in for meals. Like, it becomes a whole different relationship, and I think the gain is all round.
Yeah, thanks, Ashlyn, for helping in sharing this. It's
worries,
really, really
Professor.
good. Yeah, thanks. So I still want to learn how to share with sound. I'll figure it out. It's under, okay, so share. Same as system, audio, computer. Okay, so I'll learn this. The discussion that they had on community engagement, it was not that long, but it's a short discussion, right? But they bring about some of the very important issues about community engagement when it comes to a project that you link with the community. How do you think about this discussion? Was that useful? They bring about important information. Ashlyn, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess, Professor, the community involvement, I guess it's a very good thing that can be done in our study because, towards the last, there was this one lady telling if we could build the trust relationship with the community, it would be great, right? It's thinking from the very basic perspective, like it would be an encouragement for the community themselves to get involved to other studies as well. Just imagine like when people or researchers, when they are just going and taking information from them and they are not getting anything in return because they are also using their time, or the community themselves are using their valuable time, right? So if they are not getting anything in return, or just a few or just some gratitude or something like that, it's not actually fair to them, the community, right? Instead, if they are getting as the video told, we are not asking for the money or something like that. If they could give some meal, or as it was suggested in the video, that would be a very good encouragement for the community itself to take part in these type of researchers and to give their best out to it, right, Professor? And also, yeah, it will actually make them feel that they are also a part of this, and they are not someone who is who is just used to get some information, but also they are
Exploited.
they are also the part of this process, Professor. I guess this would be very good if we could do that, the community involvement.
Yeah. It's very good that you have mentioned some of these important issues that they have also highlighted. Ashlyn, thanks. So is there anyone wants to add some of the elements that they have mentioned about community engagement, and then your perspective as well, why it is important to engage community when you conduct a research or a program?
I think
Go ahead.
I think if we could, like, when we do a research, community-based research, if we could engage them, like emotionally get attracted to them, not emotionally engage with them, not attracted, emotionally get engaged with them means, like, as we get more like connected, they could open up more and we could get a better I'm not saying like not a better, but then we can dig out more information and they can open up freely to us, like if we build up that trust with them. And then I also think like it was already mentioned before also, if we could making them part of the research could be like sharing our findings with them. It's like showing our respect to them and telling them that okay, they are also part of it, they also have the right to know what we found out. So this way we could engage them. And also like as Ashlyn mentioned, like we could like not some I forgot the term, but we could give some like a party, a feast to them for like showing gratitude and all. And then this way, yes, I think we can have a better.
Okay, thanks, Tandin. Yes, you not only mentioned about the importance, but also you talked about some of the steps that we can take in order to engage community better. So I can see a writer from Pooja Khanal. So Pooja, could you also highlight that what you have mentioned here? So providing snacks along with 500 rupees
with the female health workers community in 4 of the municipalities. So the female workers from each of the municipality were participated in the community-based research, where after providing the session and filling the questionnaire and everything, we provided them a free a female health worker bag along with 500 per session and snacks, so that they get motivated and participated in a nice way and contribute in a nice way.
Is it the participant or because you are giving quite substantially a bag and then snacks?
The participants were like the female.
Yeah, and then also 500 rupees. So
it was a project from of last year students of
yeah.
public health in Nepal.
Yeah.
So where they have invested, like the budget was like 70,000-80,000 Nepali rupee. So they had to do like the session for 4 days, and then I was also one of the part of that where I was doing an internship, and then after providing each session and the questionnaire were like before, I mean like knowledge were based on like before the session and after the session. So the female health workers were the participants, and we asked them to fill up the questionnaire, and they stayed with us like for an hour when we were providing the knowledge to them about the family planning and like every family planning related topics. And then there were 2 questions that they had to fill out. So within the duration of that time, they so because they have contributed time with us, so from that project they used to give like 500 for each female health workers per session, and along with a bag. Like the bag was like normal kind of the female health workers to take us in the community, and and like with a snack, so that they get like motivated and provide us the actual knowledge that they have actually about that certain topic.
Okay, oh great. You see, this is an example that Pooja was part of it. So these participants are community health worker. So you know that they are very important agent engaging community. So for the project, community health worker and the community is in itself. This population is a breeze population. That's why the project management has given a lot of emphasis, given them the bags, snacks, and then also the money. So they are not actual community participant. They are, you see, they can be used to engage community later on. So that's why they are given special emphasis. They brought up, they are invited in an office, given a training, and then their perspective pre and post, and then also given this kind of, you know, the motivation, so that when they go back to the community, because they're community health worker. So those workers are in direct touch with the community dweller in day-to-day businesses. So the project has something to do using them as a vehicle to reach to the actual population. That's why they are given special emphasis. So you need to strategically place due attention when you implement a research project. So that's what exactly this project has done. So you know, the taking care of the community and then engaging them in an appropriate way is really, really important in order to achieve the goals that you want to achieve through implementing a research project or a program, right? So and then it has some direct benefit also to the research project, not only the long-lasting one and ethical point of view, and then also human rights point of view, but they have also direct benefit that you can have while you implement your research project. One that Tandeen has highlighted, that if you engage them, if you create a trust among the community dweller, then when you collect data, for example, ask question or ask for participation, they respond spontaneously. And then when you ask question, you always expect that this response is valid, true, then representing the actuality, I mean the real situation of so you can expect more of a better response if you give them respect, if you engage them, if you make them part of your work. So then it works better. It is not only the far reaching, but also immediately you can get benefit engaging community, right? Okay, so is there any other? Shukriya, you want to say something about community engagement?
Yes, Professor.
Do you want to say something about the community engagement? Have you done anything in a project or any work that sounds like in community engagement?
Foundation, we were working about the role of engagement.
Oh, okay. So we cannot hear it very well. Shukriya. Okay.
Professor, I said that I personally didn't do anything individually, but I was volunteering in a foundation that we were working about the involvement of youth in a community. So
yeah,
it was not about related about the health.
Yeah, okay. So these are all important, but to having this concept of community engagement in itself is so rewarding. So when you conduct your own research, see that try to engage community as much as possible so that you can expect better outcome out of your work. So let's say, I know that we have taken out a lot of time, but let's get back to some of this information that I wanted to share with you, okay? Can you all hear me?
Yes, Professor, you're audible.
Yes, Professor.
Okay, sure. Thank you. Thanks. Yes. Okay, so the community engagement or community engaged research are being viewed as a keystone for transitional science. Okay, these are all theoretical things. I think we have already covered them. So community engagement function to inform, to educate, to empower community about an health issue. If it is a public health or health related program or project. So to inform, to educate, and to empower. So these are like some of the goal of community engagement. To mobilize the community partnership and then action to identify and solve a health problem. These are like, okay, so let's get back to how a community engaged research can be helpful. So this is all we have mentioned. It can enable the researcher to strengthen the link between research and practice, and then reported benefit. Community engagement leads to greater participation. So think about the research that are being done, the follow-up. If you remember this Framingham Heart Study, and then also these are being implemented for more than 100 years. Third generation is running. So for those kind of research, and then also for not that long, for if it is a cohort study that someone wants to implement in 5 years time. So the community engagement is such a vital thing for them. Otherwise, it is impossible to conduct a research, and then people will not cooperate. They will not participate. When you go back and then for follow-up data collection after 6 months and 1 year, if you don't give them respect and then engage them, involve them in your research, so they will not cooperate. They will say that, oh, I'm busy, come back later. So no, I cannot give blood specimen. I cannot come to your clinic, or I'm not available at that time. All these kind of excuses they will find, and then this will be impossible for a researcher to collect data. So doing something for the community, engaging them appropriately, giving them appropriate respect and value, and then taking care of their needs and emotions. These are all important. And then this is how a long-term project especially can be implemented. Otherwise, it is not possible. And then also community engagement increase external validity. So validity remains important, both internal and external. Community engagement can contribute towards external community increasing validity. So it decrease loss to follow-up, increase the individual and community capacity. So it's not only engaging them, but trying to improve their capacity as well. So if you, in the previous slide, we have mentioned that to educate, inform, educate, and then also what else? Inform, educate, and empower the community engagement. These are some of the function of community engagement. So if you do this, so the community get more empowered and then their capacity get increased, right? So this is also a way. But the problem is, in order to do this sideline activity, these are not sideline, these are all actually mainstream activity for some project. So you need funding. Funding is a real issue that limit conducting or doing some of the great things that's supposed to be done. Like the Pooja has mentioned, that providing this incentive that makes them happy and then kind of motivated to participate in a research project, it needs resource. So having access to resource is really, really vital to even conduct a research which is community engaged, right? So yeah, this is where one of the very practical challenges still remains. So having access to the fund. Yeah, so this is a challenge, of course, this community engagement, and then also conducting well-planned research. So enhance the dissemination and utilization of the research finding, which is very important. You see, you can demonstrate a very research effectiveness, but if it is not being utilized by people, if people don't accept them, so all these research and the research findings are kind of valueless, that people don't accept them, they don't use them in their life. You see, for the COVID, the vaccine or other intervention, all are proven that if you use mask, it can reduce transmission of COVID, the virus. If you maintain social distancing, it can do that. If you take vaccine, it can prevent, right? But if people don't participate, don't engage, or if they don't take up this important intervention, then all this recommendation, all this intervention will not be meaningful. That is why the target is to, it needs to be community engaged, and then it has to be in a way that all the misconceptions and doubts about a particular research findings is also addressed in a meaningful way. Otherwise, the problem of utilization will not be there. And then